Okay, I think we're good. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my Zoom room in my office. Welcome, welcome. So this is the request that I received in class last week to kind of show you all my process. So I walked you through what I do, but I didn't have enough time to actually show you. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to use the question posed on the systematic review research guide that the library has created. So I'm going to approach this as myself, as a librarian, as someone who works on these projects. So I'm not creating the question myself. I'm just going to use this as an example. Please just meet with me if you want to talk about something like creating a question or creating a searchable question. So I'm going to use this as my example. So someone has approached me with a systematic scoping or scoping review request, and their question is, how does hearing loss affect physical fitness or sport engagement? Once again, I haven't thought about this too hard. Normally, I would spend a couple hours reflecting on thinking about these concepts. I'm just going to go with what I see here, just make everyone's life easier. So I did a little bit of searching earlier. Get rid of that. So first things first, that's your research question. It's done. We're not touching it anymore. We're going to do some basic scoping searches. One of the things that you can do is truly just copy and paste your research question into PubMed. And then it's like, oh, okay. So here's sports participation, physical education in sports. These are not quite what I want them to be, which is another example of why you need to use your advanced searching concepts. So I'm going to do this, hearing loss and physical fitness. We could do an or here. We'll see what it does. I don't want it to be too large, but there's 27 results. Risk of hearing loss. Okay, here's one. There's another one. Okay. So if I'm a researcher, if I'm you all, I'm looking for articles that will probably fit my inclusion and exclusion criteria. So I'm not the researcher, I'm your librarian, which means that I'm just selecting these as something that a researcher would send to me. So I'm never the person who's going to select these, I'm the one who receives them. So I picked 3 that kind of go along with this question. I mean, as a researcher, you spend time digging into this question, you know what you want to include into your analysis. I'm just using this as an example. So if you're me, someone has sent you this question. Got really loud. If you're me, someone has sent you this question, they sent you these articles. I'm going to now take these articles and put them into my tool. So I have this first one, targeting functional fitness. Copy the PubMed ID. I'm going to put it into my Yale Mesh Analyzer right there. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to pull my next one, targeting the psychosocial and functional fitness. Grab this PubMed ID, pop it into the Yale Mesh Analyzer. Do one more. The effect of traditional dance training. So once again, there we go. Needle is 3, can't have more than 20. Subheadings, I'm going to leave it full. I'm going to put the full article title. Kind of like we talked about in class, it does not matter what you do. I'm just going to sit full because it makes my life easier. I'm going to select the abstract option and then hit Excel. So once again, I hit this button every time. It never works. No. Okay, so it's going to download. It's going to say mesh analysis. I've done way more than 28 of these, but it might just say 1 for you, for 0. Now we have to wait till it enables editing, but this is what it should look like. Full article title, full journal title, first author, abstract. And enable editing. And then this is just for me. You don't have to do this. I'm not grading you on these, so do whatever you want here. But I do like to make it a pretty color, just to find some joy in this process. I would save it to my folder. for this class, which is something you absolutely should do. I'm not going to save this one. And then I start looking at my terms. So there's only 3 here. You'll have to check across the board. So first things first, and I'm sorry, it's it's never good at centering. So here are the first 3. It does it by alphabetical order. It does not automatically sort it for you. So you have age factors, aged 80 and over, and adult. If I'm not focusing on a specific population, so I'm not focusing on children, I'm not focusing on elderly populations, I'm not going to highlight these terms. We don't need these terms to build our search. If our concepts are going to be hearing loss, physical fitness, sport engagement, or sport engagement, you don't need to search age factors. People of all ages do sports, so it's something that you would either need to refine in your research question or add to your inclusion/exclusion criteria. So then we kind of get into an interesting thing here. So these 2 articles, I guess, focus on correction of hearing impairment. This one does not. So this might be something I'd be interested in highlighting if I were focusing on that, but we're not looking at, for this question at least, we're not looking at like fixing hearing impairment. I don't really think that's a thing anyway. And once again, not something you really look at in this question. I've never seen that mesh term before either. Okay, so I wouldn't highlight this either. Even though 2 of the 3 articles have the same mesh headings, that doesn't mean you want to use it. It just means that they're both focusing on this. Okay, and then we move to dance therapy, which this is where it gets a little complicated. So if I'm looking at something like exercise therapy, I would want to include dance therapy because it's the same thing, right? Like dance therapy is a form of exercise therapy. So let me go to my mesh terms. So you can do this yourself. If you're seeing terms and you're like, what do they mean? Or is there anything underneath them? You can search it yourself. Dance therapy is not underneath exercise therapy, but I think it's under physical therapy modalities. Maybe not. There it is. So it's under exercise movement techniques. It's not under exercise therapy, but you potentially would want to use both. But we're still not focusing on exercise therapy. We're focusing on physical fitness. These all have another good point is that a lot of them will be tagged with like humans, which these all are. And sometimes they'll do female, male, all that stuff. You don't search those either. Even if you're looking for gender specific outcomes, you don't normally search for gender. This is what it is. But here's where the good stuff is. So we're focusing on hearing loss. That's what we're looking at in this question. And as you can see, I'm getting 3, each article has a hearing loss component. I'm going to highlight that in purple. So now what this is saying is I can search hearing loss mesh and retrieve all of these articles, which is what we want, right? So like we want each of these articles to be represented in our search string. So there's 3, there could be 20. And then these back here, so the / psychology or / whatever, denote subheadings. You don't typically want to search subheadings for a systematic review. And it also doesn't really matter. You would just search hearing loss mesh. You wouldn't need any of these subheadings. They're just on there because they're tagged that way by the AI. Don't worry about them. It just needs, if these 2 between aren't the same, that's fine. Hearing loss mesh will capture all of this. Next, we have interpersonal relations. Once again, not really. Definitely don't need male. But then here's one more, physical fitness. I'm going to highlight that in blue just because I like color. All of them have physical fitness. Another thing you might want to consider is if you're looking at hearing loss, you might want to search persons with hearing impairments as well. So not just hearing loss, but also look at hearing impairment people with hearing impairment, hearing loss. So I, just for the sake of showing you, might highlight this as purple. Even though they're the same article, you want to try to capture every single term that has to do with one of your concepts, and that will probably include hearing loss or persons with hearing impairments as your mesh. These two look at quality of life. Cool. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so there's only two-ish concepts. You'll probably have more, but the last piece are these author-signed keywords. So you want to highlight these two because this may be a mesh analysis, but this is going to inform your keyword list, which is your title and abstract terms. So I'm still going to highlight these. I'll put this one as blue. Oh, purple. Functional fitness. That may definitely be one that you want. This one also says functional fitness or exercise. But the hearing loss piece is up here, and then this one doesn't have any. That doesn't mean you don't highlight them. It just means that it doesn't exist. Okay, so from this, and it may not come out like this in your actual article, but from this, I'm seeing two distinct pieces of my search: physical fitness, hearing loss. It's going to be pretty big, but it's fine. The sports participation piece, I think I would put within the physical fitness category. We'll see. Okay, so this is done. One last thing. If, let's say, physical fitness was not a part of the mesh, or there were no mesh terms because it's a newer article, that's why it's important to have both the title and the abstract be fully open, because here, there should be the term physical fitness somewhere in the abstract. So just because searching physical fitness mesh doesn't work, doesn't mean the or physical fitness title abstract won't capture this article too. This is not prescriptive. This is just to help you. So if it's not a mesh term, that doesn't mean you can't use it. Just kind of helps guide your concepts in your keyword list. All right, cool. I'm done. Now I'm going to go to my Word document, keyword list. I am going to now put two overarching concepts here. One of the things is that I may decide to do sports participation terms later. Just because you're doing this now doesn't mean you have to do this forever. This is me testing it. This is me with no background knowledge about this topic. I'm just doing what seems like it will work based on the articles that I have, which is why it's important that your Sentinel articles are good and they're about your topic. Because if my topic wasn't about these things, this is going to improperly inform my keyword list. But I'm just going to do it. Just going to go with it. Okay, I'm going to make a little bullet point. And I'm going to start with hearing loss mesh. Hearing loss mesh. That's from the mesh analysis. I'm going to indent a couple times, and I'm going to do hearing loss, truncation, asterisk, title abstract. Every mesh term needs a corresponding title abstract term, or something that captures that term. So if I were to just search hearing for some reason, I would still capture like the hearing loss terms, because hearing is a part of that phrase. The other way around won't work. You can't search hearing loss expecting hearing terms to pop up. Okay, so now let's start moving in mesh. I'm going to do hearing loss. I'm going to start with the first one. So there are quite a few phrases and terms for hearing loss. First, we have deafness, which I definitely would want, I think, based on what I have created about this topic in my head. Deafness is definitely one I would want. But you also want these terms. So we have hearing loss in our title, in our keyword list, but we don't have hypoacusis. So I'm going to take this term and I'm just going to add it. There's also hypoacusis, yes. I'm going to truncate at the first S. Hearing loss, hypoacusis. Perfect. The rest of these have hearing loss, hearing losses, and then we have transitory deafness, which I don't have either, so I'm going to take that. And I'm actually probably going to truncate at the F. Beautiful. It's not comprehensive. That's just the hearing loss terms. Now you have to decide which one of these you want underneath your keyword list, under your mesh term. So if you just search hearing loss mesh, just like this, you're also going to be searching all of these things at the same time. For systematic review, you traditionally don't want everything unless it's shorter. But regardless, I'm going to request or tell you to do mesh no exp. That's telling the database to only search hearing loss, not to search deafness, hearing loss bilateral, hearing loss conductive. It's not searching any of those things. You're going to add those in manually yourself. So hearing loss, I definitely want deafness. So of course I'm reading the scope note or the definition to see if it aligns with what I think it does. Of course, this one does. So I'm going to now take deafness, enter tab over at the mesh term. And once again, there are narrow terms under deafness. So maybe for some reason you don't want deaf blind disorders. It doesn't apply to your research question. You would want to make sure that you're also doing no exp here. And then after this, one of the things I would probably do is search deaf truncated, which means that you actually don't need to search transitory deafness because we have deaf here already. So once again, I'm kind of eliminating things as I go, as I'm capturing those with more broad terms to get as many articles as possible. I'm going to go back. So now there's also deaf. Hearing loss is right there. All of these say deafness or hearing loss. So we have hearing loss here. We have deaf here. We don't need to type out every single one of these terms. It's captured in other concepts. Now I'm going to go back over or back up to my hearing loss, and I'm going to move to bilateral hearing loss. I definitely would want this too. It's partial hearing loss, so we definitely need this. One of the things, instead of typing it out, you can add it to the search builder over here and copy and paste it over. Beautiful. There's no narrow terms, so you don't have to worry about not exploding it. And then all of these terms have the word either hearing loss or hearing or deafness. So we don't need to type all of these out either. So again, I'm going to go back up. We'll do conductive. This one is, I'd probably want this one too. If I were doing it, I'm not entirely sure at this point. So everything I'm saying, do not take as gospel. It's just what I'm thinking in the moment. I would add this. And then once again, we have all of these entry terms captured, so I don't need to do that. Paste. And I'm going to move on. So I do that with every single term underneath my mesh. And then once I'm done with this string or this part of the tree, I'll usually move over to like hearing disorders. So if you want to look at tinnitus or tinnitus, I don't remember how to say it, or hyperacusis, we have hypoacusis, but we don't have hyperacusis. So maybe that's also related to hearing impairment. So this is like louder, which is a form of hearing impairment, I think. I'm not a doctor, clearly. But you need to decide as the subject experts what you're going to include, right? You're the people who know what you're talking about, so looking those terms up and deciding how to use them is really important. So I would do that for all of this, and I would keep going down the list until I had pages and pages. pages and pages of stuff. I'm not going to focus too much on the physical fitness part because I don't want this to be 2 hours long. So I'm just going to pull this mesh term. But this is one of the things I would like to point out, these see also terms, because those could be related. So like exercise test, maybe not, but exercise therapy, maybe. I don't think so. I probably wouldn't do that. But physical endurance and exercise, I might search as well, which would be really big. But that's because these reviews aren't supposed to be small. You're going to get so much stuff. So be careful. This one has cardiorespiratory gait analysis. We might not want gait analysis, so I'm just going to take a giant cup. That I probably wouldn't explode it. And then I'm just going to put some terms underneath. I'll probably do physical fitness. Actually, I might even truncate at the S for exercising. And then I would probably add exercise as well. So definitely don't want to like explode this. You definitely would do whatever you want. Spend time on this. These keyword lists, this part of my job takes me forever. And I don't expect you to spend the rest of class working on this, but I definitely want you to live in it a little bit and think about how researchers and clinicians and people who publish articles describe the concept that you're looking at. So if we're looking at physical fitness and hearing loss, maybe the article is about someone who is deaf and exercise. And is that potentially something that you would want to look at? I think so. So you have to use all these terms. And let's say that this is done, it is not done. Exercise is a huge concept. You have to use most of these terms like swimming, walking, biking, jogging, running. I have to use all of those too. So I would do my physical fitness and then I would do all of these. Besides the point. So now I'm going to actually create a new Word document. I'm going to name this PubMed V1. So now I'm going to start editing my PubMed searches based on this keyword list. I'm going to just copy and paste. Don't need that anymore. It's bigger. I'm going to start adding. So hearing loss terms get OR'd together. If it has to do with hearing loss at all, you OR it. And that's what this keyword list is for. So everything here gets OR'd together because they're the same concept. And everything here gets OR'd together because they're the same concept or trying to capture the same concept. And then you would and these two together because you want articles that talk about both, right? So I'm going to work on that. And if it makes it easier to do it in a Word document first, totally fine. A little space in there. So those are my orders. Now I'm going to do my ands. $526. It's actually not bad. That would be more. So this would be, I'm going to copy and paste. This would be my PubMed version 1. I'm going to write that I got 526 results. The date is 1/23 today. And then the last thing I'm going to do is test my Sentinel articles. So I have all of these, and that's why we highlight them. You want to copy and paste these. So these are the identifiers. You can actually just go into PubMed and OR them together. And this is going to create a search string with your Sentinel articles. And this is how you test all of your searches. If you're not capturing your Sentinel articles, it doesn't matter if there's 3 or 19, then you're missing terms for sure. This one, we'll get all 3, but I'm still going to show you. So I'm going to hit add query from these 3 dots so I can just pop it up there. And I'm going to take number 4 and add it with and. It's going to look like this. So if these numbers match, that means you got all of them. Let me take out, just for the sake of showing you what happens if you don't get all of them, I'm going to take out these terms here. Take out my hearing loss terms. Now, let's just say I was missing those for some reason. You will not be missing them, but let's say I was. And I go to test. I'm going to take number 6 now and number 4 and add them with and. And now I'm getting none. I need at least one, right? Okay, I think that this will still work. So now you're like, oh, well, if you're only getting 1 of 3 or you're only getting 15 of 20, you need to see which ones you're not getting, right? Because those are going to help you fix your search. So what you do is you take the 2 searches. So here is one with the terms and here's one without. So the one that has the most, you take these, and then you're going to knot it with the one that retrieves the least. So we are knotting them. You take your PubMed ID string, knot it against your most recent search. If there's something missing, and then it will show you. So I was missing all 3, of course, because I took out the entire hearing loss term. And then I would look at them. I would probably display them as abstract and then just start looking for other terms and like reading them to see what I'm missing. So here it's been like, oh, they're talking about hearing loss. How did I miss that? Then once you know how many you get, I will actually put it up here. So the first round, we got 3 of 3 Sentinel articles. But if you only got 2 of 3, you could say 2 of 3. So if I only got 2 of 3 Sentinel articles, you know to go back and look at the one you missed. You're going to leave this alone. You're going to copy it. And you're going to paste it down here. So if I do what I just did, and I searched only this, I would copy it down here, version 2. It's like 200-ish. And then now I would get 3 of 3. So don't make any changes to each of the searches. Do your versions. Okay, I think that's the last piece here. I'll look at my slides from last week. Okay. So like I said, this is usually what a systematic search looks like. You all don't have time to screen 5,000 articles in 2 months. It's just not feasible. So if you're getting really big results for this class, for this paper, you might want to narrow your topic just a little bit. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all. I will see you this Thursday. I know I probably don't have to say this right now, but if you don't need this, if you didn't need to watch this video, I hope you didn't watch all of this video. Good luck. I will see you on Thursday. That's on the screen. That's on the screen.